Is Lagrimas del Valle the next Tequila Ocho? And what are they bringing to the market as a new brand that other brands aren't? Let's get this part right out of the way. I understand the title of this video is a little bit clickbaity because I actually don't think that these brands are even really competing with one another, but I think that Lagrimas is trying to build off of the amazing foundation that Tequila Ocho has set forth. I've personally met Carlos Camarena, who is the master distiller of Tequila Ocho, and I think that they do an amazing job with what they do. And the folks who founded Lagrimas del Valle used to work with Tequila Ocho a very long time ago, and I think that they were so inspired by what they are doing here that they tried to do it in their own little way. Tequila Ocho is known as a single estate tequila, meaning that every single bottle that they make of Tequila Ocho comes from one field on one plot of land that is harvested at one time and is made using that one harvest. And that is to showcase the beauty of terroir, or the impact that the earth can have on the flavors of a tequila. And Tequila Ocho has been doing this single estate tequila since about 2008, when Carlos Camarena and Thomas Estes created a partnership to create this beautiful expression of tequila. All of the agave used in making Tequila Ocho comes from the Camarena family estates. And I've talked about this so many times. I think that what Carlos and his family are doing is absolutely amazing. I just did a video on El Tesoro, which is another brand that they produce. They also produce Tapatio, and I've met him in person, and I think him and his sister Jenny are incredible, and I think they're creating some of the best agave products out there. So what the hell does that have to do with this other brand that I mentioned? Well, let's get right into it. Oftentimes I get asked, but Louis, where can I find all of these bottles that you talk about in your videos? They're never in stock in the store near me. Well, I actually partnered with my friends Curiada to try to find a cure for that specific issue. I've spent the last couple of months working with Curiada to curate a list of bottles through their network of suppliers to be able to offer an online store where you can maybe find some of the bottles that I talk about on my channel, including the Lagrimas del Valle that you see in front of me right now. Every single month we will be updating the selection so that we can always try to keep in stock the things that we talk about on this channel. And look, don't get me wrong, if you don't want to buy bottles there, then don't. But I'm just trying to provide an option for folks in the country who can't sometimes find some incredible bottles that we talk about. But if you want to know more, there's more information in the description of this video, and go check that out. But all right, let's get back to talking about this incredible spirit. The folks that founded this brand used to work with Carlos and Tequila Ocho a very long time ago, and now they're trying to kind of experiment in their own way. I have in front of me here 4 different bottles of Lagrimas del Valle, and even though they look identical, they are vastly different from one another. And I even have this little sample of a bottle that is unreleased that we will talk about in a little bit. So one of the fascinating things about Lagrimas del Valle is that they are trying to do things in a way that's very similar to what Tequila Ocho was doing, but kind of trying to turning it up a notch and kind of experimenting in their own way. Whereas Tequila Ocho comes from one family estate, which all of the agave is grown on the land that is owned by the Camarena family, Lagrimas del Valle is really kind of expanding that, and that's really important. Because a lot of people don't know this, but tequila can actually be made in 5 different states in Mexico. It's not just in Jalisco. It can actually be made in Guanajuato, Tamaulipas, Michoacan, Jalisco, and also Nayarit. And it's not actually all of those states, but it's like parts of each individual state. One of the things that I think is really fascinating is that Lagrimas del Valle is trying to source agave from actually all over Mexico within these regions to be able to experiment and explore the impact that terroir has on the agave. If you were to take a look at this bottle right on the neck here, you'll see a vintage age statement. So this one was done in 2022, called the Palo Verde. And one of the big differences is that right at the bottom here, you'll see that it says Rancho Único and not single estate. Technically, Tequila Ocho is single estate because the estate is owned by the Camarena family and all of their agave comes from that family's estate. With Lagrimas del Valle, they're actually partnering with different farmers to get agave from different ranches and different fields that technically they do not own, but they are unique and individual ranches that they're sourcing all of these agave from. I think that talking about vintages is really fascinating, and the reason that it's important is that every single year, the agricultural products that you're working with to make spirits, they may encounter different hardships, and it might be a difficult year or it might be a really great year. And so every time that there is a vintage, it'll kind of showcase, hey, this is a snapshot, a moment in time of what that was like to produce that. And I know that some people may not like hearing this, but like with climate change happening, things are changing in the agave world. It used to take a lot longer for agave to mature, and now it's maturing a lot quicker. These vintages are a really fascinating way of taking kind of like a snapshot of what that unique ranch or that, one harvest would taste like, but also within the context of the year. So it's just adding a little bit more information. similar to how I mentioned how they're trying to source agave from different regions, these three right here, the El Chiqueño, the El Sabino, and the Palo Verde, all three of these expressions are using agave that was actually sourced from Jalisco. But this one right here, La Loma, is actually the first expression that Lagrimas is making that is featuring agave from Michoacan. And so if you watched the video that I made recently about how not all mezcal is smoky, we talked a lot about terroir and sourcing and how Mezcal de Leyendas is really doing a great job of showcasing different regions of Mexico through mezcal. I think that Lagrimas del Valle is trying to do the same thing, but through tequila, which is admittedly a little bit harder to get variation on because it's more restrictive than mezcal. By featuring agave from different regions, they are really trying to showcase that. And this little bottle right here is an unreleased expression. I actually don't know if I'm supposed to really be talking about this. I think this one was just for my personal taste, but whatever. This is actually a tequila that the agave is being sourced from the state of Guanajuato, which is quite far away from Jalisco. So you've got 3 expressions of agave from Jalisco, though they are from different fields and different regions in Jalisco. You have a agave that is harvested from Michoacan, and then one that is harvested and distilled from Guanajuato. Like any good experiment, the only thing that they are changing in all of this is where the agave comes from. They are keeping all of the other variables the same. And keeping all of these things the same and really just focusing on making an incredible tequila is really the secret to this, and something that I've been kind of keeping down low until this point in the video. I didn't want it to take away from this incredible project. Where all of this tequila is getting distilled and made is at Cascajuin, which is one of my absolute favorite brands and distilleries that I've ever gotten to visit. Lagrimas del Valle is actually a partnership with the family that makes Cascajuin. This is something that is a really unique project that is not only having a really great concept, but is being made by some of the best people in the industry. And I think that, sure, could this have been a gimmicky project if undertaken by someone else? Maybe, but the fact that it's being done by what I consider to be one of the best producers of tequila currently, I think it really makes that much more of a difference. Okay, Louis, that all sounds really cool, but does that actually impact the flavor of what you're going to get in your glass? Well, there's only one way to find out. Nice little In Good Spirits tasting glass, and then we're going to separate these out. We're going to taste this 2023 El Sabino, which was also harvested in Jalisco. Ooh, love the smell of that. On the nose, it's very vegetal, it's very citrusy. It's got some nice black pepper to it. You get that vegetal flavor really coming through. A lot more in the palate than on the nose. It's nice and earthy, a little minerally, so it's got that nice kind of savory element. It's got good citrus, and that cooked agave is just so nice right up front. Well, how does the one from Michoacan taste? Well, this is the La Loma from 2024, and this is using agave from Michoacan. Ooh, okay. On the nose, I think this one's a lot more agave forward, a lot more earthy. It's got a twang to it on the nose, like a little sharp twang. Okay. Yeah, that's very different. Very earthy. Some good vegetal flavor, not as citrusy, not as black peppery. A lot more minerality to it. It's got a little bit of hints of florality to it, but overall earthy and really tasty. That's really nice. And then now for the one from Guanajuato, which again, I actually don't know if I'm really supposed to be showing you guys this, but I don't care. This is unreleased. So hopefully this makes it into the final video. If not, sorry. On the nose, that's incredible. There's this incredible cooked agave aroma. There's I want to say smoke, but I think that's going to invoke a lot of people's mentality of mezcal, but it's almost like a mesquite, like a tiny little, like a hint of smoke, but not in the mezcal sense. Tons of citrus, nice and minerally on the nose. Whoa. That is very, it's very fruity. It's very citrusy. That is... wow. It's got this nice, really kind of good savory flavor to it. A little bit of fruit, a little bit of citrus, nice and earthy and vegetal, and just so good. That might be my favorite so far. Though I love what they do in general. That one takes the cake, I think. That's really special. So overall, do I think that Lagrimas Del Valle is going to be the next Tequila Ocho? No, I actually don't. I get it. Maybe it was a little bit of a clickbaity element for me, and I'm sorry about that. But I think that the story that Lagrimas is trying to tell is really building upon the foundation that Ocho set forth. I think Thomas Estes, who has passed away somewhat recently, he created a beautiful story to showcase the importance of terroir in tequila, and I think that Lagrimas is really just trying to take that idea and build upon it, and especially the fact that it's being made at another distillery that I think is absolutely amazing in Cascahuin. I don't think that there are enough brands taking this much detail into consideration when creating their products, and I think that more folks like this bringing more incredible products to the market could only be a good thing for consumers and for the industry as a whole. So yeah, I hope you can forgive me for being a little tongue-in-cheek, a little clickbaity with the title of this video, but their stories are tied together. And I think that I'm really loving what Lagrimas Del Valle is doing. It's at such a high quality, such a high level. They seem to be really honoring where they are pulling this agave from. But anyway, I think that should wrap it up for this video. I feel like I've been talking forever. But I've got some incredible tequila to drink that I wasn't really supposed to share with you guys, but I don't really care.